Should we help our adult children with money? I can't tell you how many times I heard that question, usually asked quietly, and most always with mixed feelings, because part of you feels like you should help, and part of you wonders if you're helping too much. Because you see, for 15 years, I sat across the table from hundreds of families as a registered investment advisor and Series 7 broker. And you know what? What really surprised me most in all those years is the parents who gave the most weren't always the ones whose kids ended up the strongest, because sometimes it was the other way around. And I learned that over the years. So stick with me on this, because by the end of this video, you'll have a much clearer way to tell the difference between help that lifts a child up and help that quietly holds them back. And here's the one thought to carry with you right from the start. The real question is almost never, can I afford to help? It's, will this help actually help them? Now, I want to be straight with you. It's not, I'm coming at this as some advisor in a suit. I'm coming at it as a dad. Because my wife and I raised 2 kids. First while I was in the corporate world, and then while we were running our own business. They grew up around both. And when they were young, we put them to work cutting grass, painting, packing up customer orders in the back of the warehouse. They worked all through high school and college. But you know what? We never pushed them into the family business, though. We told them to go and chase their own dreams, and that's exactly what they did. They still pitch in on a few small jobs for us here and there, but they're out building their own lives now. And honestly, that's the whole point. So when I talk about this stuff, I'm talking about it as a dad first, not just a guy who used to stare at spreadsheets all day. I want to say something because I think it's the part nobody talks about. Because if you're wrestling with this question, I want you to know there's nothing wrong with you. This is one of the hardest decisions a parent ever faces. And here's why. It was never really about the money at all. It's about love. It's about that deep pull to take care of our kids. The deep pull you've felt since the day they were born. And that just doesn't switch off because they just turned 30. It's about guilt. That little voice that whispers, what kind of parent says no? It's about the fear that if you pull back, you may damage the relationship. And for a lot of us, it's about the way our own parents did it, whether they helped us or couldn't, and what that taught us. So if this feels heavy, that's not weakness. That's love wearing a hard hat. And every good parent I've ever sat with felt that same weight. So you're in good company. But here's the thing though. The fact that it comes from love is exactly why we have to think through it clearly. Because love that isn't thought through can sometimes do the opposite of what we hoped. And here's something worth remembering before we even can talk about dollars. Money was never your only way to help. Honestly, it's often not even the best one. Some of the most meaningful help I've ever seen a parent give doesn't cost a dime. It was showing up on a Saturday to help them paint a room, lending a hand on moving day when a full-time job took up their time. Or it was simply knocking out a weekend project together so they just didn't do it on their own. That kind of help really builds something a check never can. It builds connection. Your kids remember the afternoon you spent with them far longer than they remember the money. So if you're feeling that pull to help, you just got more tools in the shed than your wallet. And sometimes the best thing you can do for your kids isn't your money. It's to spend time with them. So now let me share 5 things I've learned about the money side, some from hundreds of families I sat with, and some from my own kitchen table. The first lesson is a big one. It's the difference between helping and what we call enabling. And here's the tricky part. From the outside, those two can look almost exactly the same. A hand up is temporary and it points your child towards standing on their own. Think helping with college a little, or helping them with the keys to a reliable old beater so they can get to work, or stepping in during a real emergency like a medical stare or a divorce nobody saw coming. That kind of help has a finish line. It moves them forward. Enabling is a different type of animal. Enabling is bailing them out of the same bad situation over and over again, paying off credit card debt that they keep maxing out, covering a lifestyle that they flat out can't afford, because that kind of help doesn't have a finish line. It keeps the merry-go-round spinning and spinning. And here's one simple little test that I started using with the families that I work with. Does that help build a bridge, or does it build a habit? And a hand up has a finish line. A handout doesn't. So when you write that check, just ask yourself just one simple thing. Is this nudging my kid towards staying on their own 2 feet or walking away from it? And the second lesson I noticed is where the real pride lived. When parents told me about the grown kids, the proudest moments were they were never, we gave them this or we bought them that. She paid off her loans. He built his own career, or they're raising their own family. You can hear it in their voices. And it hit me. The deepest reward of being a parent isn't about being needed forever. It's getting to watch your children not need you in that way anymore. It's not about them pushing you away. It's that you're doing the good job. You're doing the right job. I feel that in my own 2 little ones, no, they're not little anymore, watching them do their own thing on their own terms, that's worth more to me than I could have ever handed them in a check. And the wisdom nugget here, the goal of raising a child isn't to be needed forever. It is to raise someone who could stand on their own and be independent. So here's a gentle one for you. Take a look at where your kids are already strong, then resist the urge to help them in a way that quietly takes that strength away from them. Okay, now here's the hard one. And I'll be honest, this is the one my advisor years really left a mark on me. I watched loving parents turn into what I'd call personal ATMs, and too often friends. It didn't end well for them. Some put their own retirement at risk. People who worked hard their entire lives ended up with way less than they should have. For one simple reason, they couldn't bring themselves to say no to a grown child. And here's the part nobody sees coming. All that overhelping, it often hurts the kids too. Making life too easy left some of them just plain unprepared for the real world. And here's the part nobody saw coming. All that overhelping, it often hurts the kid too. Making life too easy left some of them just plain unprepared for the real world. The hard moments that built a person, the ones that grow some grit, those all had been smoothed away. So when life finally got tough, they didn't have the muscle for it. This is the quiet truth most folks never hear. Sometimes the most damaging thing you can do to a perfectly capable adult is keep rescuing them from the very thing that would have helped them grow. So before you help, make sure you got your own retirement, your own security squared away first. And I know how that sounds, but that's not being selfish. That's the oxygen mask. You put yours on first so you can help others. But let me tell you about one particular family, and I'll change some of the details here to protect them, but this one has stayed with me for a lot of years now. There was a couple I worked with who'd been giving their daughter $3,000 a month, and she wasn't some young adult just trying to find her footing. She was in her 50s, a grown woman right in the middle of her own life. And for a while, it really was a help. But over the years, something quietly happened. That money slowly stopped being a gift and became the whole foundation she built under her life. Her bills, her commitments, her entire month. She just assumed that check was going to be coming month after month. She wasn't planning around her own income anymore. She was planning around theirs, her parents. Then, when the parents' situation got tight, the way it does for so many of us once we get close to retirement or in retirement, the market shifted. Inflation started eating away their purchasing power. And they realized they simply couldn't continue sending $3,000 a month without putting their own future on the line and their own future at risk. So they sat down with her to gently talk about easing back that money. And here's the part that I'll never forget. The daughter didn't ask if they were okay. She didn't say one word about their retirement. She continued to demand the money, not the relationship, the money. Because somewhere along the way, without a single person meaning for it to happen, that support had quietly taken the place of the connection instead of strengthening it. And you know what? I still think about that couple. They had so much love to give. And the hardest lesson of their later years was realizing that all those years of writing checks had slowly taught their own daughter the need to keep the check more than she needed them. That's the danger nobody warned you about. It isn't just that you might run your own retirement dry. It's the help itself that can quietly creep in and take the place of the very bond you were trying to show in the first place. So the wisdom here is be careful that your help never becomes a relationship, because one day you may have to choose between the two. Now, please don't hear that story and think I'm telling you to be afraid to help. Helping can be one of the most beautiful things you ever do. So let me flip it over and show you the helpful side, because it's every bit as real. More and more parents I worked with decided not to wait. Instead of leaving everything behind as an inheritance after they're gone, they started giving some of that now. They were still around and actually able to see them enjoy it. And there's real wisdom in that. So let's be honest. Younger folks are facing generally tough times right now. A little help today when a kid is buying their first house or raising a young family can land so much more impact than some money decades away from now. Plus, there's just plain joy in it for you. You get to watch your kids and your grandkids really enjoy it while you're still here to share the moment. And here's the real difference between this and that story that I just told you. It wasn't about the money. It's about the foundation underneath of it. One builds dependence, the other shares a blessing freely from a place of strength. Now, how you actually do this, the timing, the tax side, the amounts, that's a conversation for you and a good advisor. I'm sharing the idea here, not the instruction. So the nugget of wisdom here is an inheritance you live to see your children and grandchildren to enjoy is a gift to you as well and to them. So if you're financially secure, it's worth asking yourself, would some help mean more to my kids right now than it would years down the road? All right, the fifth lesson is the trickiest of the bunch, especially if you've got more than one child. How on earth can you keep it fair? I saw two honest ways to handle it, and both can work. Some parents go the individualized route. They know each kid is different, with different needs and different struggles. Maybe one kid has a disability and generally needs more lasting support. So they help based upon the real situation right in front of them. Other parents go with the strict equality route. One kid gets a gift, every kid gets the exact same amount, right down to the dollar. And they do it on purpose to head off any resentment and any whiff of playing favorites. Now, there's no single right answer here, but if there's one rule that holds either way, whatever you decide, it's open to talk about. Talk about it, because resentment between brothers and sisters almost always grows in the dark, not out in the daylight. And the little nugget of wisdom here is fairness isn't always equal, but it should always be honest and open. So if you've got more than one child, decide your approach on purpose and then tell them what it is. So now let's pull it all together. 5 lessons from hundreds of families and from my own experience. 1, aim for a handout, not a handout. 2, remember that their independence is the real reward. 3, don't overhelp your way into your ruin or your child's. Number 4, think about giving away what you can while you're alive so you can enjoy it and they can enjoy it. And 5, when there's more than one child, be fair, be open, and be honest. And don't forget the one that comes before all 5. Money was never your only tool. Sometimes a Saturday afternoon is worth more than a check. And remember, by giving money to your children, the goal is never to fund their lifestyle. It was to support them as an individual when they need it and the times they needed it. So here's something worth sitting with. Where do you personally draw the line between a hand up and a handout? That line is yours to draw, but trust me, it sure helps to know where it is before the moment it shows up at your door. Now here's one small gentle step for the next 24 hours. Don't make any big decisions. Just grab a piece of paper and write it down in one sentence what you really want for your kids, not what you want to give them, who you want them to become. Then let that little sentence quietly guide everything else. And I'll leave you with this one last thought. Every parent I ever sat with wanted the same thing deep down. Not to be needed, but to be close. And the strange, sneaky truth is that money given the wrong way can slip through the middle of that closeness, then we don't even notice until it's too late. So if you just take one thing from our time together today, let it be this. The most generous thing you can give your children isn't a check. Sometimes it's a Saturday. Sometimes it's your quiet belief that they can stand on their own. And always it's the steady love that's there, whether the money flows or not. Your help matters, but you matter more. If this gave you something to chew on, I'd be very grateful if you subscribed. I'd really love to hear from you down in the comments, and take good care of yourself when you're out there. And remember, the best chapters of this story can still be ahead for you and for the people that you love.